did something and then made it to be averted. Yes, made it possible for the strike to be averted and everything. So did I say it's a big thank you to them, and then for make at least. But then I want to know, like, what's your take on this?
Anyway, you're free to say thank you.
Okay.
Yes, you can say thank you to them at least, like you did observe yesterday. That part of the suffering has been alleviated.
Okay.
The 3 cycles, vehicular movements will increase, and then they won't have to queue up to get fuel. And then people having to pay more for transportation. And then you begin to imagine, what if when you set out on your journey and you already mapped out the stipulated amount that will take you home, and then suddenly the fares are increased and you have to walk home? The person have to trek home. You know, those are the fallouts from situations like this.
What if the person is coming from a long distance?
Long distance that you enter the town. Those are the fallouts from situations like this, like you did point out. But like you wanting to give kudos, I don't know who you're giving the kudos to. Is it the DSS now for brokering a truce between the Nupeng and all of the officials, everyone that played every key role? Yes, that's very commendable. Yes, thank you for averting or ending the situation. You know, for quite some time now, despite the fact that we complain about the high cost of petroleum products in the country, we've not had to suffer queues. In my postulation, you would say that because a lot of persons have parked their vehicles, it's now more fashionable to take transportation to wherever you're going than drive because of the cost. Do you understand? Before, a car that will be filled up, you know, these small cars that you can fill the tank up with 10,000 naira. These days, you need to spend about 30 to fill such cars up. So a lot of persons have parked their vehicles, have parked their cars, and then decide to, you know, go on, use the monomal transportation system to commute. And then in places like Enugu State, where you have a VIP bus rapid system, is even more fashionable to park your car and take the transport, lessening traffic on the road, and then enjoying the cruise of these new buses that was unveiled and commissioned by the governor. However, on this issue of on the Nation newspaper, BSS brokering truce and ends Nupeng strike is quite striking for me, the headline. You know, that's why I was, when you were wanting to give thanks and thank everybody, yes, they should be thankful for averting all this. Yes. But it struck me as surprise and an irony, you know, that is the Department of State Security Service that had to wield in to solve this crisis, right? Remember, the Minister for Labor has been intervening in this matter since Monday. Their first meeting amounted to little or nothing. Nupeng carried out their action without minding the meeting, the mediation, and all that. And then this is day 3. And this morning we were waking up to hear that state service, that's the DSS, were the one that brokered the truce to end this strike action by Nupeng. You know, it's so surprising. For the first time, what I wanted to read, you know, I was like, was somebody arrested?
What happened?
What happened?
Like, did they do any background?
Yes, that's what we're used to. Yes. When you see the state departments get involved in issues like this, when you see police getting involved in issues like this, first of all, you hear threats. Do you understand? You begin to hear threats, first of all, and then maybe key persons that's spearheading the action, like the labor leaders, you understand, or Nupeng leaders in this case, you may hear that they've been arrested, you know, just to thwart the trade action going on. But in this case, in the Nation newspaper, they've come out to tell us that, wow, the DSS were able to broker a truce and everything is back to normal. Now, giving insight into what really happened, remember that on Monday, we really exposed on this issue. You understand? We gave an expose of this issue. And the issue here is that of Dangote and Nupeng talking about their workers being allowed to join the trade union, right? And according to them, Dangote, having imported about 4,000 trucks, CNG trucks, is recruiting drivers through, is his cousin, his nephew, Savio Dantata, who is leading MRS Petroleum, recruiting stars for them. And these drivers were informed, were meant to sign an undertaking not to unionize, not to join any trade union, you understand. And for that, Nupeng has come out to, having called Dangote to try to issue threats, and it didn't work. They now carried out the threat of embarking on strike. And remarkably, it was very noticeable, because had it been that Petroleum Dealers Association, you understand, didn't embark on the strike, the tricycles you saw may not park, you understand, because the petroleum, the gas stations will be open to people and all that. It will have been the tanks, the trucks movement that will have been obstructed. But this time around, you saw synergy among the body. The retailers joined the action supporting Nupeng to carry out this trade. That's why you see it was felt all over the nation. And then tricycles started to park and all that. Now, the point here is that Nupeng maintained is that it is within the right of these workers to unionize. That according to International Labour Organization, international labor laws, that a worker, they are allowed to unionize. Do you understand? You can't take that right away from them. And according to Nigerian Labour Act, you cannot stop workers from unionizing, right? That said, however, in our expose, we didn't point out that despite the fact that Nupeng is going ahead with this, remember that Nupeng too is divided.
Okay.
Yes, there is another association of trucking association that doesn't believe in the mandate of Nupeng. They have their own association. Therefore, Dangote, in this case, maybe within his right, either that these new workers may form a different association. However, without dwelling much on it, the emphasis here is that we're happy this issue has been resolved, and resolved timely. Like you did point out, I think that is not resolved timely, then it will begin to mess up the economy. Like you did observe, transportation costs will begin to rise. And once anything affects transportation system, commodities in the market will go up. Then the suffering will begin to triple and trickle down. You understand? So this thing has a chain reaction. It has a chain reaction effect. So the government, through the state agency, security outfits, being able to resolve this matter and resolve it amicably, and we didn't hear that anybody was threatened, that nobody was arrested, is kudos to them. Then I may begin to feel that our security agencies are beginning to be more civil, or should I use the word civilized, in their dealing, right? Rather than all these Gestapo method that we are used to in the past, though that was during the military era. I bet the fact that we've witnessed occasions in this democracy, you understand? If you go back to unionism, labor trades, remember the era of Adam Soshomole as head of Nigerian Labour Congress, you understand? So we know what transpired those days, but we've come a long way, and kudos to the Minister of Labour, kudos to DSS for seeing that this issue is resolved, that Dangote and Nupeng were able to come on the table, negotiate, iron out their differences, moving ahead. However, Debbie, I must point out here that what is the danger of this to private investors? Do you understand? Private investment, given that we're a nation looking for a way to attract foreign investment into the country. The dangers here, this could be an academic exercise at the end of the day, because people will begin to raise the question of ease of doing business in Nigeria. Remember that Dangote is a private entity. He's not communally owned. Dangote is not government owned. Even if government may have some shares in their dealings, but it's a private enterprise. Now, this private business has invested about 20 billion US dollars to establish the refineries you saw there.
Okay.
They have invested about 720 billion to import those trucks, those CNG trucks, into the country to ease their business model and all that. Then the question here is, remember that even this 720 billion we're talking about and the initial 20 billion US dollars that was invested to construct and see that that refinery later took off is borrowed fund. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's a borrowed fund, and there will be interest on that as well. Now, imagine foreign investors, how they will feel that there is no ease in doing business in Nigeria, given such situation where unions are meant to dictate to private entity. You know, we shouldn't let issues like this get out of hand.
Yeah.
We should learn to nip them in the bud before they even become front headlines, right? So that we don't send a wrong signal out there. Dangote, as a private individual, would want to run his business in such a manner that he would recoup profit and recoup it fast, right? And then the question I want to raise when I meet legal luminaries is, these workers, are they not within their right, again, not to unionize? These are the questions that I want to pose to legal sound minds out there, right? Are they not within their right not to unionize? Now, if Dangote has said, like any employer, some employers do this, they will give you memorandum of understanding to sign about do's and don'ts in an organization, of which we've seen that some of them include that you cannot be part of any trade union. In some instances, you will see where it will be a proviso that you cannot reveal company secrets. Do you understand? So we've seen rules like that, and these agreements are signed by employees in some organizations, right? So, like I did pose, are these things not legally ethical? And this sound individual, if they have gone into such contractual agreement with Dangote, are they not within their right to choose to unionize or not to unionize? And luckily, lovely, thankfully, this issue has been resolved. And I believe both parties, both Dangote as a private investor in Nigeria and the workers, Nupeng, everybody's happy. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And now we'll be moving over to the Punch headline that says, doctors to decide on nationwide strike today. And the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, is convening today to determine whether to proceed with a nationwide strike based on unresolved demands and concerns over healthcare condition. We could see in the news, recently in the news, like the resident doctors, they are planning to go on strike based on, because they've asked the federal government for some certain settlements based on healthcare, what they're going through to provide healthcare and all that things for them. And now today, we've seen in the news that they are meeting today to decide on going on strike.
Okay.
So I want to, like, what is your view on this now? Because if they go on strike today, with the challenges we already have concerning healthcare now, and you know, resident doctors, they are those ones that they are the live-in doctors, actually, the ones that stay, and then they stay in the hospitals, and then maybe an emergency or something like now. If they should go on strike, if they should go on strike, won't it be more challenging than what we already see or what we're already facing in the healthcare sector? Like, won't it be challenging now? If there's an emergency now, it means there will be no doctor on board, no call-on doctor at that very moment. So don't you think, like, what do you think about everything?
Debbie, is quite appalling. It's quite sad that at this time, in this age, and in this era of this administration, that we're beginning to see pangs of strike. Before I go into this, or to answer your question, yes, it will burden the system. But before I go into that directly, Debbie, you may want to know as well that is like we're in the season of union strikes. We're in the season of strikes.
Yes, because strike is
Labor has given ultimatum.
Okay.
Do you understand? Labour has given the federal government of ultimatum. I don't know if you are aware. They've given them an ultimatum, about 14 days ultimatum, to withdraw the 5% tax on petroleum products.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So that one is still standing.
It's
and then this morning, in the front page of the Punch, right?
Yeah.
We are seeing this headline.
About strike again.
About strike again. So it's like when let me not say the season of strike, let me say in the harvest of strikes,
okay.
right? But this is quite appalling. Yes, in this age and time, in the life of this administration that has talked about stabilizing an economy, having more money, generating more revenue.
Met targets.
Then being able to, in their view, take care of the common man on the streets, right? That will begin to see the dividends of stabilizing the economy, right? The impact will not be felt. Now, while we're talking about the impact of stabilizing the economy being felt, as a result of the sufferings from declaring removal of subsidy, government policies and all that, people are already suffering. Do you understand? People don't have the capital again like they used to. And then we are talking about a health system that is already burdened by poor infrastructure. You have shortage of doctors already, either to Japa syndrome, right? And then you're talking about overcrowded hospital. Let me digress. Over the weekend, I went to the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital. That's UNTH, that's what it's called. And my observation is that the number of patients there were many as compared to healthcare workers in the facility, right?
Yeah.
I was able to somehow go around at the, is it oncology department they call it? And I was able to move from there, go beyond there to other wards and observe that this system, the healthcare system, is already overburdened. And prior to this period, like is the practice for me, I went to, because I'm trying to discover and know my terrain very well, I went to Enugu State Teaching Hospital. They call it, is it Parkland?
Yeah.
And then, similar observation that I had with UNTH.
It's still the same there.
Same thing. These people are overburdened, is overcrowded with patients already. The doctors, the nurses are short on human capital to help them. Perhaps, like I did mention, as a result of the Japa syndrome. So we are talking about this overburdened system. And then the resident doctors, having given a 10 days ultimatum that is elapsing, I suppose, today, because like you said, they are going into a meeting, that's their NEC, right?
Yeah.
Their National Executive Council are meeting to determine the course of action, either to go on a total strike or maybe give a warning strike and all that, right?
Yeah.
So, Debbie, I'm telling you that, like you did ask, this will be a heavy burden on the system. Then talk about the suffering of the common man, because at the end of the day, will bear the brunt of it.
Yeah.
The sick patients, who will take care of them? Because what we are talking about here is not just doctors. We are talking about resident doctors.
Yes.
And as you did point out, these are the live-in doctors. These are the people you call when there's emergency. These are the go-to-go ones, right? When the specialists, the consultants go, the resident doctors are there, 247.
Yeah.
Now they want to down tools. What are we doing about it? Now, Debbie, I begin to look at it. These are the situations we witnessed before we got into democracy. And I dare ask, where is the dividend of democracy if we are still embarking on strikes like this? Not just strike, but strike by healthcare workers. That's the issue. Why is it that we've not been able to fine-tune policies for engagement? Right? Why have we not provided enabling environment to allow these health practitioners work? Make it conducive for them to discharge the hypocritical oaths they took to see to it that they save life. These are the issues I want to raise, right? Then, when you look at their complaints, what's this complaint about? The same old age-long complaints, yes, like that we'll talk about.
Working environments and all that, pay and then overload.
Poor welfare, right? You talk about inadequate working environment, right? You talk about what again? That they are being owed some benefits over the years. Debbie, go into the archives, bring out the newspapers. You will, I bet you will see the same headline. And that's why it's worrisome for me. Okay. That as a nation, we don't seem to get a grip on these issues, be able to handle situations like this, that in this age and time, our resident doctors want to down tools. Debbie, do you know what will happen? What about that man and that woman that is in special care? Look about the cancer patient that is under intensive care. What will happen to them? Think about the man or that woman that is undergoing dialysis in these teaching hospitals. What will happen to them?
They will be left
at the mercy of just nurses. At the mercy of nurses. You don't have any doctors to call. So it becomes worrisome. And I begin to ask, what is the responsibility of government? And the last time I checked, they told me that it is the responsibility of government to take care of the welfare of its citizens. Okay. And number one on that, apart from the provision of shelter, security, is health. That's the demands. What we need from the government. That's the responsibilities of government. Then, should I be bold, or why won't I be bold enough to say that the government is failing in all this? Why? Seeing strike action at this time, in this period, in this space, then one will begin to say, why is this coming up? Because when I look into it, they're talking about outstanding payments from 2025 residency fund. You're talking about 5 months arrears. You're talking about 25 to 35% consolidated medical salary structure review. Do you understand? You're talking about outstandings from 2024. You're talking about welfare of their members. In fact, part of what they've cited is the issue of their members in Kaduna State, the issue of their members in Lautech, in Ogbomosho, that their welfare is nothing to write home about. And if these things are not looked into, that they will embark on the strike. And like I did tell you, I've told you the implication of the resident doctors going on strike, because the system is already burdened, is heavily overloaded already. So why can't we see to it that this issue is resolved? Resolve the issue of doctors going on strike. Resolve the issue of healthcare workers. And situations like this, I bet you that when they go on this strike, not all the resident doctors will return. Yes. In fact, let me tell you, my findings when I went to UNTH, because I did engage some health practitioners while I was making my rounds, doing my things there. I discovered that the doctors and healthcare workers talk about nurses that are available. Many of them are on waiting lists in embassies. They are on waiting lists, wanting to travel out of the country. So,
hello, I'm Deborah Wakoba. I am Chidimike Mede.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chiwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obo Obina Samson.
Please keep watching Aneke TV, or you can visit us on our socials like Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Aneke TV.
This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
You're still watching Sunrise on Aneke TV. Now we'll be taking a look at our next newspaper headline, which is from the Vanguard, that says, world leaders, envoys condemn Israel's attack on Qatar. Now, Israel carried out a rare airstrike in Doha, targeting senior Hamas leaders based in Qatar during ceasefire negotiation. And the strike resulted in the death of several individuals, including members of Hamas and a Qatari security officer. And then some leaders like UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called it a flagrant violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Qatar. And Turkish President Erdogan labeled the strike a breach of international law and accused Israel of adopting terrorism as state policy. Now, orders from the US, EU, Australia, and various regional actors also voiced concerns over the attack implications for diplomacy and peace.
All right. It's quite unfortunate that this war, this fight, has spiraled to this. You know, the October 7 attack on Israel by Hamas, the kidnapped victims and others, one wouldn't know that this issue was prior to 2025 until this time, and not abating. In between this fight against Hamas, negotiations to release the kidnapped and the hostages and all that, we've seen the fights in Iraq. We've seen the strike in other territories. But one, cannot fathom or imagine that a time will come when Israel will strike in Doha, the capital city of Qatar. So it's so surprising. And then the calls from world leaders we've seen, like you did point out, from United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, from Middle East, France, UK. We've seen calls from different governments, and I've equally seen calls from Nigeria and Nigerian analysts, experts, and some government officials, right? So before I begin to talk about this, let me remind us that Nigeria is a non-aligned state. That's our state policy. We are a non-aligned state, meaning we don't take sides on issues like this. So we can't get involved like the likes of United States government, like the likes of Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran, and all those nations. You understand? Nigeria is a non-aligned state. And the last time I checked, that policy has not been changed or eroded, and we should keep to that. But that doesn't mean that when called to be arbiter for peace, you understand, we may not go, but we don't take side in conflict, right? That's our world policy. And we are pro-Africa in our policies and all that. That's Nigeria for you. So that's for those of us who are asking what's Nigerian position in all this and calling for a Nigerian action in this.
Yeah.
No, Nigeria cannot go beyond where it stands in calling for fairness, because human life is involved, right? But beyond that, we cannot take side on the issue because we are non-aligned nation. However, talking about the fight between Israel and Hamas, you know, this issue has been raging on. There has been negotiation, and Qatar has been the middleman in all this. They've been one of the key negotiators between Israel and Hamas to see that the remaining hostages are released to Israel. And then they call for Israel to move from Gaza and then leave the territory of Gaza and all that. We've heard international outcries about humanitarian conditions in Gaza and why aid is needed. And Israel has opened up Gaza, allowing humanitarian aid to be dropped via air and all that, right? Why this ranges? One is surprised to see that Israel will go this length, though they've come out to tell us that they can stop at nothing to see that they get back their hostages. You understand? Now you remember the horrifying pictures that we've seen of the hostages. We saw where one was digging his own grave with his bare hands, right? So it's the pictures, the images are so horrific. And then on the other side, when you look at the people in Gaza, these malnourished children in Gaza, the suffering people in Gaza, then one cannot begin to say, where is our humanity in all this? What is at stake here? And before I begin to talk about solutions and what should be done and all that, we'll begin to look at the strike in Doha. Like we did mention, and the United Nations Secretary General, the President of Turkey, like you did mention, France and UK have criticized the action of Israel as violating the territorial integrity of Qatar by going there to strike. And then reports coming from Israel is that this strike was carried out by the IDF, right? The Israeli Defense Force, in conjunction with Shibet. Shibet, you know, is the intelligence agency in an intelligence arm in Israel, right? That it was in conjunction with them that they carried out this strike, and that this strike was meant to eliminate a key Hamas leader who is resident in Qatar, right? Now, according to Israel, it was one person that died from that strike. That strike was a precision strike, guided to get their target and not to cause havoc or destroy surrounding buildings and affect other.
Destroy things.
I have, as at this moment, I have not seen the picture from there, but I have read Israel's position on that. And then, likewise, I have read the outcry around the world. You understand?
Yeah.
Though discrepancy here for me, the fact we are not in contention that Israel has violated the territorial sovereignty and integrity of Qatar, right? However, in international jurisprudence, you understand, or international lawyers, it's left for them to debate this action for the fact that these terrorists known Hamas, because Hamas has been proclaimed a terrorist organization. So, being that they are harboring these persons in their territory, is Israel within their right to carry out that strike? Call it precision strike.
Yeah.
Are they within their right to carry out that strike or not? That is for international jurisprudence. Whereas where they will determine the legality of that, the violation of the integrity of the sovereignty of Qatar or not, right? But for us here, one I wanted to point out is that Israel is saying or claiming that it was only one person and the target was gotten,
Okay.
right? The son of a Hamas leader, in that who is a key Hamas figure as well. And Qatar, from Qatar and the publication I read, Qatar is saying that it was 6 persons that were killed in the operation. We have no means at this moment to ascertain what is true or not.
Yeah.
Yes. Then, going forward, you see there has been calls on Hamas to release these hostages. And according to Donald Trump, the president of United States, that I read him the other day, telling Hamas that it's time for them to come to an agreement, that it's time for a truce, that Israel has agreed the condition he laid out as a proviso for ceasefire in Gaza.
Yeah.
All right? That the onus is now on Hamas to toe the same line so that peace will return to Gaza. Now, until this moment, Hamas have not heeded to that.
Okay.
So, while we try to balance this situation, like I did point out, this whole thing escalated when Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. You understand? That's where this kidnapping and these hostages were taken from southern Israel. And just last week, there was another attack that was carried out by Hamas-affiliated forces in Israel. So the situation is still tense. And we'll call on world leaders to see to it that this issue is resolved and resolved quickly. Right? Now, talking about solution, from a historical perspective rather, there has been calls about two-state solution. Talking about two-state solution seems to be the best available solution to solving this perennial crisis that we witness in the Middle East. Right? Now, Israel equally will talk about the demilitarization of Gaza and Hamas surrendering, because Israel is banking on the fact that Hamas must surrender. They should not have the capability to attack Israel again. And these are the issues. So we encourage world leaders like President Trump to continue to see to it that this situation is resolved and resolved quickly, because people are suffering. It's beginning to go for longer period than expected. On both ends, is affecting people in Israel, is affecting people in Gaza. Yes. And then the high point for me is that, what does Qatar have to do in all this? Because they've been the key negotiators. They've been mediators between Israel and Hamas. And they are aware that these Hamas people are hiding in their territory all this while. So they kept quiet. It has to take bets to get that intelligence and for Israel to go on strike. You understand? So that begins to call to question the sincerity of this whole negotiation. But it's, at the end of the day, is on world leaders to prevail on Israel, prevail on Hamas, to toe the line of negotiation. Let us do the talk. You understand? They say, jaw is better than war.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And we've taken a look briefly about the state policing and the Twitter posted by Peter Obi on Twitter, where it says, curbing the excesses of state actors. Now, in this tweet, he says, At a time when our nation is grappling with serious security challenges, with everyone looking for ways to mitigate them, even supporting for state policing. It is very worrisome that allegedly state-backed outfits that were created to help with the situation and improve security are instead worsening the plight of the already terrorized citizens and sometimes acting even worse than the criminals they were meant to confront. Rather than offering protection, they have become a new source of fear and oppression. The tragic shooting and killing of traders, especially the killing of a pregnant woman in Onitsha, is deeply troubling and highlights the urgent need for thorough security, proper reorganization, and strict accountability of these outfits. And the last time it was a different group called Udogachi Security Outfit in Anambra that brutally assaulted a youth copper. This time, another outfit is shooting and killing innocent citizens, and the security situation in Anambra appears to be deteriorating further. And the activities of this group must be thoroughly investigated, and all those responsible for this heinous act must be brought to justice. And that it says we must have outfits that are well scrutinized and do not operate outside the law. Security agencies and communities outfits should be carefully vetted, trained, and monitored to ensure professionalism and accountability in their activities. And without proper oversight, what is meant to safeguard lives can easily become a threat to the very people it is supposed to protect. And he also says, my deepest sympathy goes to the families of the victims. May they find strength and comfort, and may the departed rest in peace. And this is Peter B tweeting on, saying it on X. And then in some comments, people said, what is the value of human life in Nigeria today? And how many people are killed and the government doesn't bother to investigate or commiserate with the people who have been murdered? And then also saying Governor Soludo is a monumental failure and other people need to vote him out. And another comment says, dear Nigerian, Peter Obi did not solve the insecurity problem in Anambra by recklessly empowering non-state actors. And this should be a lesson to everyone that state police in the hand of a criminal leader will make your lives worse and not better. So the last comment for today says, this is sad, and that's why when people talk about state police, I don't know if as a nation we are ready for that. The impunity, rascality, anyhowness, and total disregard for the rule of law often perpetrated by the top and trickled down have to be curbed first to state policing to work.
Yeah. In fact, you see, the tweet and the reaction sums up the fears about state policing.
Yeah.
You understand? Because those who have argued against state policing are always citing issues like this: extrajudicial killing, overreaching their bounds by of security forces. Right? They cite incidents like this as issues against security outfits. Right? So you see that, given what was cited, the killing of a pregnant woman, those at the other end arguing that it's not yet time for security, for state policing, may be right in a way, right? So, but the point here is that when, be it community policing, be it vigilante, whatever outfit it is, be it even the police as it is, be it the civil defense, whoever you're giving ammunition should be trained. Training not just on how to handle the weapons and all that, but train them. These people should be emotionally balanced individual.
Yes.
That's the basic. Being emotionally balanced and not being able to react at whims and caprice and provocations of people.
Even when doing it, before training them, I think their background should be looked at.
Yes.
Yes.
There should be thorough investigation and on the point of recruitment. Back check, back check, back check, and recheck again and again to see that this individual, one, is not a criminal, he has sane and worthy character, and then check the person's health history as well, like we did mention during the on
Yeah, the
suicidal
suicidal,
issues,
thing,
that
yes.
this person doesn't come from a lineage of people who have one mental situation
Yes.
and is capable or to commit suicide, and this person is sound enough, emotionally enough, talking about emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
to be able to stand abuse from citizens and then being able to handle himself without reacting to the extreme use of violence.
Yes.
You understand? In the
Yes.
discharge of their duties.
That's true.
Yes. Above letting them, training them on how to handle weapons as well.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. And please do not forget that you can also grab physical copies at your favorite vendor or catch the e-papers online. And it's a wrap on today's edition of Sunrise and Aneke TV. Thank you for waking up with us, and it's always a pleasure, but please do not forget to follow us on our social media feeds on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, all at Aneke TV, or call our phone number 07030437110. I'm Deborah Nwakauba.
And Uche Osai. Remember, you're not here to be average. Stay bold. Keep watching Aneke TV. It will come your way same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm Deborah Wakoba. I am Chidimike Mede.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chiwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obobina Samson.
Please keep watching Aneke TV, or you can visit us on our socials like Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Aneke TV.
This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
Sex is sacred, not shameful. In its truest form, it is more than the body. It is soul speaking to soul, fire woven with trust, vulnerability clothed in consent. But when misused, it breaks more than bodies, it fractures spirits. That is why it must be approached with reverence, not recklessness. Let us teach to love before lust, connection before conquest. For when sex is honored, it becomes not just pleasure, but poetry. The soul is part of us that survives every storm. You can't see it, but you can feel it in silence, in longing, in every heartbeat that keeps going. It asks for more than food and fame. It hungers for meaning, for stillness, for the divine. The soul is where music is born, where peace begins, where truth hides. To care for your soul is the greatest act of self-love. For in the end, what we wear fades, but what we are at our core remains.
Nwakoba. I am Chidimike Mede.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chinwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obina Samson.
Please keep watching Aneke TV, or you can visit us on our socials like Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Aneke TV.
This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
Sex is sacred, not shameful. In its truest form, it is more than the body. It is soul speaking to soul, fire woven with trust, vulnerability clothed in consent. But when misused, it breaks more than bodies, it fractures spirits. That is why it must be approached with reverence, not recklessness. Let us teach to love, before lust, connection before conquest. For when sex is honored, it becomes not just pleasure, but poetry. The soul is part of us that survives every storm. You can't see it, but you can feel it in silence, in longing, in every heartbeat that keeps going. It asks for more than food and fame. It hungers for meaning, for stillness, for the divine. The soul is where music is born, where peace begins, where truth hides. To care for your soul is the greatest act of self-love. For in the end, what we wear fades, but what we are at our core remains.
I am Aneke.
I am Uche Osai.
I'm Chiwendo Ifeonwankwe.
My name is Obina Samson.
Please keep watching Aneke TV, or you can visit us on our socials like Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Aneke TV.
This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to The Insight. Remember, on The Insight, we explore the heartbeat of politics, issues, topics, newspaper headlines that shape the nation. And today, we'll be looking at democracy at crossroads. And with us on the show today is an eminent legal luminary, a legal practitioner of repute, a human rights activist, a social and political commentator, and a man known for not holding back his thoughts on issues. I'm speaking about Ozo Barrister Nnadiume of Okansi. Barrister, you're welcome on The Insight.
Thank you, Uche, for having me this morning, still morning.
I'm still excited to see you after our conversations.
Yes,
and
I'm
all
also
that.
excited to be in Aneke TV for the first time today.
Until this moment, I was hypertensive if I will still see you. So
No.
Thank you so
Once
much.
I make a promise, I try to keep my promise.
Thank you.
Knowing that it has been a hectic period for us
Thank
after the long annual general conference, tidying up of accounts, setting up of records, and getting back to chambers to get off with our duties as lawyers. So it's been tough, but I said this time around I must have to make that up today, and I'm here.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, viewers, followers on The Insight. Today, we're exploring democracy at crossroads. Barrister, let's start with your just concluded conference in Enugu. What's your assessment and view about that conference that was held in Enugu State?
Well, you see, the Enugu conference, I keep on telling a lot of media men like you that I'm not even in a better position to assess the conference because I am one of the organizers. I am a member of the local organizing committee. In fact, I chaired the social and tourism subcommittee of the conference. But nonetheless, I still get feelers from people who attended the conference, who I asked questions and who have been telling me how they feel about the conference. But the major take home is that NBA has rediscovered Enugu. That is the major take home. NBA has rediscovered Enugu. It has been Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja. Occasionally we'll do what they call off-season states, like in 2007 we went to Imo. I think, 2017, sorry, went to Imo. I think 2007 went to Jos. There was one that held in Ilorin, which was one of the worst in the history of NBA conferences. But Enugu gave NBA a shocker. A lot of them were disappointed. let me use that word, disappointed in an opposite sense, not in the negative sense.
Okay.
Because when they were coming to Enugu, many of them were told, no, don't go to the southeast. Enugu is the capital, insecurity, sit at home, blah, blah, blah. A lot of them decided to either stay back or send one person, let me go and explain how it looks like in Enugu first before they will now start coming. So, on coming